Hello, David Wilkie. Just a loon for Aberdeen. Well, I'm just a quine for Croonbay here in Scotland. David, how are you the day?
I'm doing it bad, thanks. I'm doing it bad. I can't complain.
Excellent. David, you're in the Philippines at the moment, I believe.
That's correct. It can be good and bad. We've had quite a lot of thunder and lightning and late, so if you hear a big rumble of thunder, I've just dropped my wallet.
You've got a good Aberdeen sense of humour, I can tell. David, born in Aberdeen. When were you born in Aberdeen?
1951, December.
Which part of the town did you come from? Did you hail from?
I was brought up down in Cotton Street, just off the Beach Boulevard, where the gasworks used to be, across the Bannermill, just a few minutes to the beach. That's where I was brought up for most of my childhood. And I left there about when I was 21 to get married.
What did your parents do?
I wasn't brought up by parents, I was brought up by step-parents, Sandy and Phyllis, and they worked in the fish trade. Sandy was a fish lorry driver, and Phyllis worked in the fisheries, filleting the fish, most of their days. That's how they earned a living. It was a hard, summer or winter.
Gosh, that's really interesting because, there's no many local folk working in the fish trade nowadays. As you know, I'm from the country, I'm a farm quine,
No.
But I mean, that was the heart and soul of not just Aberdeen, but Aberdeenshire. It was primarily fishing and farming, But let's flip back into the past, David, and what would your earliest memory be of the town of Aberdeen?
My earliest memory was when we were getting into the tram cars, late 50s, early 60s, and we led the tram car down to the beach, to all tram tracks. And the first tram pulled in there was pulled by a white horse along to the, so they could be all scrapped. And the trams have been taken away. That's my very first memory.
The tram car. Oh my gosh, David. Now that had been a tremendous sight. I remember in the photographs that you see of the town of Aberdeen, like Union Street and George Street and the hustle and bustle. Oh my gosh, if you could just flick back to them days, David. Very nostalgic. What do you think the impact of the people of the town and the industries that there were in Aberdeen in your time? What impact do you think that they had on you as a bairn?
It showed me all the hard working folk, especially I live near far from Hull Russells, the shipbuilders. They were synonymous the world over. And I mind the Horman Blah in the morning, and all the guys be there starting. There was hundreds of men walking down Cotton Street, walking along the harbour, Hull Russells. I mind seeing all the ships being launched and everything. That and fishing, of course, and granite. Again, all the traditional industries. It was a heart and soul of doing. When you spoke about Aberdeen, it's a granite city, it's the granite capital of the world again. They're the best fishing port and some of the best shipbuilders in the whole world. Again, and that's a tune, that built the tune, I think. That's what made the tune synonymous. And the farming folk inside the North, like, came to Aroon, that went hand in hand.
It certainly did, David. It all went hand in hand. And, that's what we're trying to bring back in Doric TV. Doric TV is primarily about who we are today, our culture and our dialect. But, we so much want to engage with yourselves, who can present to us what it was like in the old days and the nostalgia of it, the work ethic, just all the things that were good about that day. We live in a very fast pace of life today and it's all go, go, go. And I just think, stop the world a bit. Let's just get back to the past a wee bit and see, what made the folk in the past, what made them tick. And I think especially in this day and age, we are faced with the COVID virus, which is affecting the whole world. I'm just thinking we need a wee bit of uplift in our lives. And I think, uplift sometimes comes from looking back in the past and nostalgia. And I think that's just what we're doing just now. David, it was lovely to hear you speaking about the heart and soul of the town, the heart and soul of Aberdeen and what makes Aberdeen tick. Can you expand a wee bit on that, David?
I think it's just the folk. I mind being a wee loon walking down Union Street with my stepma's hand, and you hear the click, you hear the Doric tongue, the middle tongue. It just ordinary folk, but extraordinary people who worked hard. They didn't want much, as long as they could put a roof over the bairn's head, feed them, clothe them, and live a decent life. Again, I mind the community spirit in the tenement when I bathed in the street. Our 6 families, and I'll be each other. You can knock on the door or get a cup of sugar, or if somebody had a wee bit too much to drink, somebody would knock on the roof of the flare with a wish. Can we kids in summer times, we'd be doing the beach every day, playing at all air raid shelters, things like that. Just ordinary folk living hard and working hard, enjoying the fruits of their labour, basically. Again, and I think that's synonymous. And so some parts of Tuna Day, maybe the island is this more, but it's not what it used to be. It's definitely changed, and I like to think, I haven't been back for a while now, but I like to think there's still the heart and soul there, with the Aberdonians. The folk just work hard, and they're synonymous to the word God, Aberdonians. How do you recognise them? They're good folk. They're good folk. Yeah.
You know, David, it's just heartwarming to hear you speak like that, because then I realise that the heart and the soul isn't going out of our area or our culture, because it's still very much ingrained here, David. And I think that's what we need to pass on to, especially to our youngsters, you know, who are, you know, who are they culturally today, you know, and what will make them, what makes them tick, you know. I think it, when I hear him, David, I sort of hear him just hear about these old-fashioned values, you know, which are relevant to any community in any world, you know, the old-fashioned values that we had of the past, David. And, you know, I was, you know, it just, you must have been reading my mind, David, because you were just saying the change to the tune, to Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire, obviously 40 years ago when the oil came, you know, when they discovered oil in the North Sea, that had a tremendous impact on the tune, on Aberdeen. David, how do you think it's changed Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire?
Well, it's a price of property a lot. It takes a lot of trade, mostly oil related, and that's good for business. But I mind that here about many years, there's boats to Canada, we lots of timber, all sorts of strange and weird and wonderful things. The fish market, go back to fishing again, I don't think as the market's open or now. You can cross over from one part of the harbour to another quay. All the boats were lined up side to side, Christmas and New Year. You can step from one side to the other, right like that. We drive feet. That's how many fishing boats are in it doing. I think about 4 or 5 different fish auctions every day. And it created so many characters, and that's gone. You can't summer holidays, food fish, fish laddie. And you are the characters, all the guys that laugh and you laugh and mention t-shirt. You can't even the fish points and the fish houses. That's all gone now. It's all, I reckon there's only fish houses left in it doing, I've no idea. The island has been good in one way, but I think in another way, it's Tina Law for Aberdeen was synonymous with you can. That's just how I see it.
Yeah, I think you're right, David, and it's the same. We have to go with the times. There's no doubt about it, David. You know, it was just strange just speaking about, you know, the harbour in Aberdeen, because I just did a video of Port Erroll Harbour here in Cruden Bay, and you know, 100 years ago we had exactly the same thing. Yeah, there was boats from end to end in Port Erroll Harbour. You could have walked from boat to boat to boat, you know, and never got your feet wet in Port Erroll Harbour. The fishing is on the demise, obviously, you know, and we've got oil. I mean, thankfully, we've had things that are propping up our community, which is great. Now, David, just tapping onto something which I think you are really, really good at, David, and it's really just speaking the Doric. You write in Doric and you also do Doric poetry, which is, you know, I've read some of your stuff and I've listened to some of your stuff, and we were just wondering, where did your interest in writing and in Doric start?
Well, it first started back one of our colleagues had passed. He's got to be up at the crematorium, he's got to be cremated. And me and another colleague arrived, and there's about 3 or 4 little cakes. So we arrived quite early, and one of the doors were open, and we got ushered in. So, and it was, I don't know who had passed, but it must have been very popular. And the whole place was packed, folk were standing around the wall. So me and my pal and left-hand side Stirling's the what? Well, I think the other partner friend was saying a joke, because when the minister walked in, he said, "Dearly beloved, we're gathered here today," and he said the man's name, and John, my colleague, and I realised when they're on funeral, oh my goodness me, seriously, with the extra track ourselves very politely and respectfully, and outside, anyway, it goes back to the office that day, and I thought to myself, Eddie, our departed friend, you were winding us up, man, you were just in a wee tease, and just sat in my office, and words just appeared, and a little rhyme, and when something like this, you see the look in David John's face. The both began to realise they're in the wrong place. John says to Dave, "I think we made a boob." And Dave says to John, "I think they're just a tube." Little words like that. If you that minute on, I just had to start writing. I've written little poems about Tam and Jean. Well, many years ago, a fictitious Aberdeen couple and their exploits. I might take a wee bit further, I don't know, but I just love writing. In the past 3 or 4 years, it's been more Doric, because it's who I am. I just get the words come, and sometimes my pronunciation or spelling's not the same as somebody else's, but it's the way I see it, the way I envision it, you can.
Come on then, David, give us another poem.
I wrote this in this morning, actually, when I was thinking about a tune, and I don't usually read for the page. This is called Cascade. It tumbles over, yet far to see, through its ruggedness, and its raw beauty, sparkling as air, and diamond bright. Aye, the great cascade of the tune, all this time raised her high. What you know, as years pass by, to pass and gaze, I look abeam. Aye, that cascade to be seen, the great cascade learned o'er the tune. See a sicht, yet and rare, oh see a flowery grace, yet hard and calm, and though, see a cascade I yearn to see, o'er the grey learned o'er the tune. I just wrote that in this morning.
That is quite incredible, David. At a flick of a switch, that you can just churn out something like that. And, you know, it's great, David, that, you know, us, me and Gordon and Doric TV, we're just trying to tap into people like yourself, extraordinary people doing absolute amazing things. And you in the Philippines, David, and us still back here in Aberdeenshire, you know, and, you know, and zooming, you know, it may be a wee bit. Yeah, it's amazing. And I think it may be a wee bit broken up, this video interview, but it doesn't matter, David. It's the fact that we have connected. It's the fact that you're the time difference. And it's just incredible that there is a wave, David, of people who are really culturally, it's in here and it'll never go away, David. And we went to pass on that. Well, there's folk like you and me and hundreds of other folk going about. And we're trying to take this Doric TV around the world, David. And we've started, you know, we've started during the Philippines. My gosh. Give us another poem, David.
This was Lead Me Home. I put this into a spoken piece in a wee video. The journey far, as we often do. The stand is tall, is just me to be led home and talk out road. The ging is far to be led but home. Lead me home in word and thought. Lead me home in strength or aught. Lead me home. I can see the place it holds so much for me. I've stood and gazed too much. I ache for its embrace, for hame's ain touch. Lead me home, lead me there. Talk a mile, alone we need to share. And here's the road I step upon, and miles behind there are gone. For at long last I've been led home. I'm home, I've been led home.
You know, that just brings a tear to my eye, David. That is lovely. Do you think that folk who have moved away permanently from Aberdeen or just temporarily from Aberdeen. Do you think that they miss it as much as you, David?
I think so. I think there's no place like here. And to me, I'll get back one day. That's bit Sardi's plans a wee bit back, but I think you've got to take every negative as always a positive, and just take whatever you can for it.
Come to visit Doric TV studio. It's guy handmade, but you know it's the enthusiasm, and you're run in the same energy as we do, and that's enthusiasm. David, now you will keep in touch, and
Of course.
You keep spreading the word about Doric TV, and we'll keep spreading the word. Just a Loon for Aberdeen, and it's an absolute pleasure and delight on behalf of Doric TV for you to be speaking to us today from the Philippines.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed that. I really appreciate it.